Hello everyone, this is Miss Story, and I'm going to introduce today your definition essay. Now, the prompt for this essay is basically to write an essay that describes and defines freedom. So, if we think about some of these pictures here, maybe they give us a sense of freedom. Being out in nature, breaking chains, love, freedom, equality, maybe the opposite of freedom. So your essay is asking you to begin with a thesis that you are going to support with specific reasons. And if you haven't done this yet, I'm going to ask you on the assignment to download the guided notes page. And that notes page is going to go right along with this presentation, with this PowerPoint. And I think it will come in really handy for you. It'll give you the chance to brainstorm some ideas. So, as you're reading over the prompt, I would highlight or underline important criteria for the essay. So in your first body paragraph, you're going to explain what freedom is, and you're going to use at least one of the following 5 strategies that we're about to discuss. These strategies are synonym, description, classification, analogy, and etymology. So you just want to, use at least one of those. And then in your second body paragraph, you're going to explain what freedom is not. And this is a strategy called negation. In each of the body paragraphs, you should include at least one reference from our reading. So you could refer to the Declaration of Independence. You could refer to Equiano's narrative, Gettysburg Address, the pedestrian. You can also use examples and evidence from your own experience and your observation to support your definition. So I'm really excited about this because I feel like this is a chance for you to express your voice, your experience, your reaction to our readings. And, there is, one definition for freedom in the dictionary, right? And I mean, it has several subparts, but there's that definition. But your definition can be unique and it can be specific to your experience and your observation. So I'm excited about seeing what you can bring to the table and how you can continue to expand my own understanding of this. So when you're referencing an example from your reading, you are going to need a sentence that lets the reader know the title and the author, and then a quick one-sentence summary of the text. So please avoid plot summary in the rest of your paper and just explain what you need to make your point. Your essay should be about 350 to 500 words, and it should be free of grammatical and spelling errors, but submitted in correct MLA format. So, you can use that MLA template that we made earlier this week, and then you can write your essay, just type it straight into that document that you've already created. So here we go. Introduction to a definition essay. So there are some words that can be defined with a formal definition. Dictionaries define words by term, class, and differentiation. For example, the definition of a sombrero is a tall, crowned, wide-brimmed hat. Can you picture it? The term is sombrero, right? The class is a tall, crowned, wide-brimmed hat. But if we stop there, and you can see these pictures on the right, we would be talking about, or we could be talking about the Wicked Witch of the West's hat, right? It's tall, it is crowned, it is wide-brimmed. So we need a differentiation. What's the difference between the witch's hat and the sombrero? And so one differentiation that we could make is that it is a hat that is worn in Mexico or the Southwest United States. So we can try another one, a sonnet, right? A sonnet, it would be our term, and a sonnet is a poem. But what differentiates a sonnet from other kinds of poems? And we could say that, well, it has a specific rhyme scheme, has a specific number of lines. It's 14 lines, and its meter is iambic pentameter. So let's apply this to the term freedom. Okay, so we've got the term. What is the term? Freedom. What is the class? This is a tricky question. And I'm going to say maybe it's a state, a condition, an experience. What's the differentiation? What makes freedom different from another state, right? Something from the similar class, another state like bondage. We may need some help answering these questions, so we are going to turn to the dictionary. And so let's just go ahead and go there. Let's go to Merriam-Webster.com. All right, so here we are, Merriam-Webster.com, and I'm just going to type the term in here, freedom, and we'll see what comes up. Okay, freedom, the quality or state of being free. So we've got the quality or state, that would be the class, right? And now the state of being free, but they're going to go on and describe a little bit more about what being free is. So this is kind of interesting. The first definition or sub-definition is the absence of necessity. That's using the strategy negation. The absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice. So to be free is to be able to not be, it's being able to make your own choice, not being forced to make a choice. It is liberation from slavery or restraint from the power of another. So we can even relate that back to our reading from Equiano. The state or quality of being exempt or released, usually from something onerous, freedom from care, right? So being free from something you really didn't want to do. Unrestricted use gave him freedom of the house. This reminds me of my cat, who has freedom of the house during the day. Ease or facility, spoke the language with freedom. So maybe if you are able to speak another language, you could speak that language, in addition to English, speak that language with freedom. That would be like being fluent in another language. The quality of being frank, open, or outspoken. So answered with freedom. Improper familiarity. Maybe this is kind of a negative connotation, but if someone is kind of crossing your boundaries, maybe they're having too much freedom, right? They're overstepping their bounds and their rights. Boldness of conception or execution. If someone's very bold, maybe they are very free. You can see the second definition is going along with rights, with politics, a political right, franchise, privilege. So that's our basic dictionary definition. There are, however, some words that defy formal definitions. And when we try to define these big abstract concepts, these are concepts like love, freedom, success. A basic dictionary definition doesn't tell us everything we need to know. So let's think for a minute what might be missing from the dictionary definition of freedom. So, does it tell us what freedom feels like? Does it tell us what not being able to choose feels like? Does it give us an example or tell us a story or make us feel something? So that's maybe one of the things that we're going to try to elaborate on. In this essay, you're going to define freedom. It is one of those big, complex ideas that can't be clearly defined by a simple dictionary definition. So we're going to look at these 6 strategies that you can use to capture your definition of freedom. Synonyms. One way to extend a definition is by offering synonyms. By comparing your term to words that share a similar meaning and connotation, you can highlight nuance in the meaning. So, for example, if you're sad, right? But if you want to extend that definition and add some connotation to it, you could say, well, if you're a little blue, you are melancholy. If you're sad for many years of your life, you are morose. If your friends think you're not much fun to be around, you're always sad, you might be a downer. So let's take a minute on your notes page and think about some potential synonyms for freedom. And you are welcome to check a thesaurus. Think about what are some other words that mean freedom. And if you've had a chance to do that, you may have written something like self-determination, or liberation, or independence. Or maybe you've gotten a little bit more creative and said that freedom has to do something with your rights or with happiness or with, driving down the road after school, the windows down, your favorite song playing on the radio, Pal's milkshake in your hand. So maybe, so synonyms. All right. So we've brainstormed synonyms for freedom. Description. This is our second strategy. You can define a word by describing it and by helping your audience imagine the word through their senses. So sight, sound, taste, smell, feel. You can bring the word to life on different levels. For example, autumn is the season of the year when the leaves fall off the trees. But autumn is also football. It is also the first cool night, the pumpkin spice latte. So we are starting to give some sensory descriptions to help people understand it. On your graphic organizer, you have a chart that has all the different senses. And I want to encourage you to come up with at least one for each category, and if not, 2 or 3 for each category. The more specific, the more descriptive you are, the more you appeal to our senses, the better that we are going to be able to understand freedom from your perspective. Maybe freedom smells like the salty sea air when you finally made it to the beach for vacation, or maybe freedom tastes like a big home-cooked breakfast. Okay, our third strategy is classification. There are different types of a thing. So, for example, C.S. Lewis writes this book about love. It's called The Four Loves. C.S. Lewis, you may know from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe or The Chronicles of Narnia. But he's written this book about love, and he says to define love, you have to break it down. First, you've got affection, which is what parents have for their offspring. Then you've got friendship, which is love between people who like the same things. You've got eros, which is kind of a romantic love. And then you've got charity, which is a selfless love. And so it's kind of the highest of loves, the kind of love that God might have, right? So if we think about freedom, we can also classify it based on its different types. So maybe there's intellectual freedom, emotional freedom, right? The freedom to feel how we want to feel about a certain situation. Or maybe you can think about, the right to, the freedom of speech, right? The freedom of religion, freedom of the press. And those are broken down for us. So I challenge you to come up with a few different classifications for freedom. All right, the next strategy that we have is using the word origin or the etymology of the word. You can extend the definition by tracing its history. So we're going to try using this online etymology dictionary. It's Etymonline. Okay, so